Yeah, everybody especially.
You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall.
I'm back.
Welcome. Brian McCubbin.
I'm back too.
All right. Brad Wren.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, and John Kearney.
Hey, iRacers. John Curley is also back. Can't even get our own names right.
What's up, my friends?
And Greg Hectus.
I'm somewhere here in the background.
On the show today, we welcome a very special guest, longtime Coke Series driver, Michael Conti. We'll check out a detailed development update from Greg Hill, and we'll debate who is the iRacing's greatest of all time.
That's right, Mike. And if you join us at iRacersLounge.com and select show notes, you'll be able to see all these great stories and products we'll be discussing on today's show. So log in, check it out, and we'll see you there at iRacersLounge.com.
All right. It was great to hear from Mike again, especially to hear that he's a listener of the show. That's particularly exciting. Let's dive right into the topics, and we'll open it up with the 2023 development update. It was narrated by Greg Hill, and it basically is telling us about kind of the updates.
Yeah, video format of the update we talked about in detail last week, but the video format's a really easy way to digest the information. So if you didn't take the time to read it or hear our show last week, this is a great video to check out.
Yeah, they're feeling good about rain, but just are not 100% ready to say it's going to happen in the update.
But the screenshots and videos that they put on were really spectacular, I thought, anyway. I mean, it was cool to see the puddling, which is something I don't know if you always see in racing games. On the track, the different puddle spots and how it affects, the car as you're driving over it. He explains a little bit about that stuff. How you can have spotters checking for weather as the races are going on. That's amazing. So really excited to see it. I think it's awesome. I just don't know if it's going to affect us oval drivers all that much.
The tire strategy alone in the road course racing, especially in the high-end races, I mean, is going to be priceless. I mean, like you said, you have your spotter checking for weather. It starts to sprinkle. Do you come in this lap? Do you wait a lap? Those kind of decisions. It's going to be a blast.
I'm kind of waiting to see what the update brings of how they're going to implement a weather system, checking wise. Is there a radar, something that they're adding? Is there another black box that we're going to get for in the car for it, or is it only something you can check when you're not in the car? You just kind of have to play it by ear as you're racing. But it'll be interesting how they implement that whole dynamic as it goes.
One possibility is, how you can push a button basically now and have your spotter or your crew chief tell you a damage report. Or they could have a button that simply says weather report, and he just says, it looks like we might have rain in 15 minutes. And I probably would prefer as a driver to have something that simple. As a band director, we're unofficial weatherman. But I don't want to be sitting reading a radar while I'm running Martinsville or Watkins Glen.
I was thinking about what if there was some abnormality to the dynamic weather system where maybe you got hurricane style rains and like literally flooded out the track, like and made it where maybe in real life you would definitely red flag such a thing, but in iRacing maybe you can get away with running on a track with literally too much water on it, and it'd be like a circus fun.
Or do they have a thing where they actually throw the caution and run around for a little bit till it clears up or something? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But
Ooh.
on the roadside, we don't have cautions. We have local cautions, but we don't have any time where we're running behind the pace car.
Yeah, and they did say that they're going to try to base most of the weather on real time models. That doesn't mean I think that they're actually going to be looking at what the actual weather is and tying it to the current weather, but it's going to be based more on averages and models, right, of what you would normally see in the area. The only thing that is that I wonder about is weekly series. It's kind of cool if it can be based on that. But what about A Open, where you can run 4 or 5 races a day for the same amount for the same division? Is one going to be dry and the next one going to be in the wet, or is it all going to follow the same pattern? Because even the weather has changed in them. One day it's hot, one day it's cold. So I wonder how I would like being stuck in the rain sometimes and not, and the same points being applied that week.
You're talking about this is actually a good point, David, because you're talking about, say that Mike races like 4 times a week and he gets all the different weathers, and you get one race a week, and that's the one race on that week is a rain weather, and you kind of are SOL on points and stuff like from that if you get a crappy finish because of that.
Yeah, and if it's something like NIS, if you do throw in rain and then you try to make it the exact same, everybody's going to know what it's going to do on Friday based on Wednesday. So that's a counter argument the other way that is also kind of puts you in a conundrum, I guess. That they probably thought of these things, and these are just things that come up as you brainstorm it. And they'll probably discover things when they implement it, and they'd have to turn around and make adjustments as they go. It's not going to come out and be 100% right off the bat. It's going to be one of those things you learn as you go.
It'll be interesting if they can kind of try and do what the flight simulator, the newer one, just did with using local weather patterns for the time and stuff like that. But it'd be too hard for some of the stuff, because some places, if they were using weather patterns, they get, if you're in Bristol, Tennessee, and the fall or winter time, it'd be very cold and might be something else.
I was at the coldest Martinsville race in a long time a few years ago, and it didn't snow, but it was pretty rough. And wasn't there a race that Kurt Busch won and did a snow angel at Bristol?
Didn't it snow? Yeah, it was. Well, there was one that snowed before the race. I don't know if it started snowing after too, but I would even like thinking like, what if they come to Canada and they run Canadian Motorsport Park in December? That's not possible. Just not possible at all.
So I also wanted to talk about, he alluded to the oval update or the oval refresh, which really, I think he mentioned bringing back dynamic track, or I don't know if we ever really had a dynamic track, but to make it effective. And so I think a lot of us oval drivers, we don't know what to expect. I mean, what is that going to be like? Are we really going to have to hunt grooves as one groove gets hot?
This was my favorite part of the video. I'm an oval guy. I could care less about rain. I don't think it'll affect me on that side, but it's going to make more of a driver out of you. You got to find lanes through the race, like they do on Sundays.
And I hope it actually cleans the racing up some too, because some of what happens in the racing is so many tracks. There's only one groove, and so eventually somebody just will just run over you if they think they're faster, even if they're not really.
Well, they said he referred to something as like measuring the energy in the track, so I'm assuming that's what he means by a groove forming.
Yeah, you've got energy coming from the cars, whether it's heat, rubber being laid down and all that. So it should, again, this is what we supposedly had, what, 8 years, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Um, but it would be good to be able to have to do a little hunting. I mean, right now, to me, it's very static. You can run the same groove almost the whole race, regardless. I mean, tires will change a little bit, but as soon as you're back on new ones, you go right back to where you were before.
I think tracks that kind of is a little too late is a track like California would really benefit from this. You got multiple grooves and different things you can run there. It would be really cool to, you know, be have that choice. Like I think Kansas might benefit from this because you run the top after a while. I know this year some of that changed. You could run the bottom, but it would be nice that you have the options. Even a track like Homestead, maybe it becomes more dominant later in the race, high or low or something. I don't know. It seems like it's a needed update because most of these tracks are shortest way around, and you know it's not even sometimes about the momentum unless you can keep it up on the outside, but a lot of it's just short time around.
Yeah, well, and another thing that almost every track that I went to this year where people would run high, I would find that if I stayed low and only went high occasionally, if somebody was really holding me up, I used the tires up list. It seemed even on the tracks that were supposed to be high lane tracks, when you run high lane, it would just scrub the tires and heat them up so much more. And it's really not supposed to. They're supposed to be less slip angle when you're on the high side than the low side. But it seems like the fact that you're in the corner for longer at a higher speed is running the tires hotter. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be realistic or not. But my experience said if I stayed low, even on the high lane tracks, I did not wear my tires out as much.
Well, I think in real life, as the rubber gets laid down, if you notice like take a Homestead, as rubber gets laid down, the groove will continue to move up. You can't go up there and run right off the get go. So ideally, I think that's what you should get if it's going to be dynamic, and we're going to get rubber being laid down and getting the groove changed. You should be able to run that lane and even save tires. I mean, in reality, you go to Homestead, you save tires by running high because you're not putting as much wheel input in real life.
But that's not the case on the online track. I never ran high unless I was just trying to get around somebody else who was running low.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think that's part of when the tracks are made. I mean, let's be realistic. There has to be some sort of difference in between the asphalt textures. You go from the apron all the way up. I mean, I can think back to the old 2003 days, messing around with tracks. You basically put a groove in there, and that was a grip groove. So that's my guess is it probably hasn't changed a whole lot since then. But again, I think it's needed, it's necessary. I think the racing overall would be so much better.
Well, I got the impression too from this video with these dynamic track changes that you'll benefit from making some in-car adjustments, when you go in the pits to compensate for some of those changes. And that's going to add a whole lot of strategy to it.
It's going to be exciting for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, John. And I think the more strategy that comes into play in the racing, the more interesting it gets. So I kind of hope that it's the way it goes. But there were other things in this development update. They talked about some new GT cars that are coming up and stuff like that. So it's a really good video to check out.
Yep, check that video out. Let's move on. Cue the sad music. We have some IndyCar updates. And was it Brad? Were you watching this right before we got started?
Yeah, I watched it today. The guy kind of touches on a whole lot of stuff, but what I kind of got from it was I think everybody's expecting to be, for iRacing to pick up the IndyCar license again, and I don't think it's going to be that quick. It's kind of the gist I got from the video. I think we all understand there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background when it comes to this stuff. There were some tweets, Adam Stern and then Steve Myers. I think Steve said that, right now, I don't think there's any chance of them picking anything up from a console standpoint. I think they're pretty overloaded. but yeah, watching the video, I guess, and again, some of this may have happened while I was not on the service, but there seems to be perhaps maybe some bad blood between iRacing and IndyCar that happened at some point. But again, I think some of this is when you have sanctioning bodies that are willing to do exclusive, licenses. That's an issue, I think, and I think that's really what you're seeing play out right now.
Well, certainly
So
iRacing
this
has to
video
be a
from-
little bit. Sorry, certainly iRacing has to be a little bit bitter with IndyCar, and I'm sure, and I know almost every iRacing fan that likes IndyCar is. I refuse to watch the 500 this year.
So I was going to say this video from I5G Racing, he talks about everything we've already known, but he did bring up a tidbit that I don't think we've covered from Marshall Pruitt that he did on racer.com in a Q&A article. And the quote is this: I've been told by quite a few folks that at least one decision maker in Penske Entertainment's leadership team has deep ties to the company in question, which, if true, would explain how they got themselves into this mess. Quote.
Follow the money.
And then here's another quote from Steve Myers. You mentioned, Brad. Steve said, we would love our previous IndyCar simulator rights back for our iRacing product, but I'm guessing they still have much to consider. As far as potentially building a dedicated IndyCar game for consoles, if we could acquire the license, that is also a big decision. We currently only have the capacity and resources to do so much simultaneously.
Maybe we need to get some kind of petition drive to just really spam the mess out of Penske Entertainment to say, hey, let iRacing back in.
And then finally, last tidbit was from Justin Petschauer, who he put up a news on the Twitter. Motorsports Games was sent a notification of being on the brink of being delisted from the NASDAQ stock exchange.
Yeah, that probably sucks for that decision maker in Penske Entertainment, doesn't it?
It makes me think it's Mark Miles, the president guy, because he's the one who always talked up the motorsports game relationship more than anybody. But who knows who it actually is?
All right. Well, we have the November iRacing Top 10. Brian, tell us a little bit about it.
Let's see. So we had some good, interesting stuff. Started off with a really good GT race. A couple interesting oval races that were there were some incredibly close finishes. A couple, one where a guy went from 14th to first on the last lap of a race. You've seen that kind of stuff before, where guy just makes all the right moves to get by all the traffic. It was excellent. Number one on the list was I think it was the IR01, the jet car, racing at Indianapolis and on the oval track. And these cars were originally rolled out as road racing cars, but these things were amazing to watch at Indy. It was incredible. I was watching this thing and thinking, I need to jump back in this car again. It looked amazing.
Brian, it was like it was a fight to who could be third going into turn 4, because whoever was third in line coming to the checker in that last corner was going to win it, because the way the draft works. And you could see it the lap before that the guy in third was practicing. He would end up in the lead by the time they got to the stripe. And so sure enough, when they came off the corner, the guy in third won it.
Yeah, and he was in third place all the way up to the entrance of Pit Road on the last straightaway. So he made up those 2 spots just in that one stretch. And it was really fun to watch. And those cars are just really cool.
That really makes for some messed up strategy, because you cannot block in these cars. You will suffer. You won't survive it.
Die. The one I like is the super. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just gonna say one last thing. When I was watching these things go around there, they look like slot truck cars going around that track. They're so tight to the track and so fast around the corners. It was really neat.
Stuck. Yeah. I think the one that gets me is the Super Formula at Suzuka. It's almost the same kind of thing. They have this massive draft package where the guy in front's a sitting duck, and so and there's like three of them in this, and they're dicing it up, and then Suzuka's got that very famous, very fast black corner where you don't lift, and they're just flying around there. It's cool.
Because one of the highlights was at Willow Springs, I believe, and I haven't gotten that track yet, but that looks like a lot of fun too. And it's all the desert scenery around it. It's pretty cool looking too.
You're right. I mean, that highlighted to me, that looks like a pretty cool track with those mountains and kind of hills in the background as you're going around.
Yeah.
Right. It makes you think about maybe I should buy it.
Yeah, it looks like you're driving through like Death Valley or something because it's just nothing but desert around it. But it's really well detailed though, and it's just the road in the middle of nowhere. It almost looks like in a lot of places.
All right, the next item that comes up, I'll pass it to somebody first, but I want to take a guess since I have not watched the video yet. It's a video from DJ EJ, and it explains why road racers have higher I ratings
Why do
than
top
oval
road
racers.
racers have a
And pretty much my theory is that generally in the roadway race, you finish where you're going to finish based on speed because you don't have the randomness of the cautions, especially as you get up into the higher divisions. You don't have all of the randomnesses of pit strategy and cautions factoring in. So, Justin, did you give a ride? Is that what DJ said, or did you give it a watch?
I'm partway through it, but he goes on about how how road racers it has 10 times more people over 9K skill rating. And from what I got out of it, there's more splits where you can segregate, your IR rating from what I got out of it so far.
Yeah, and what David mentioned as well, that in oval, there's a more of a luck factor, or missing the wrecks and not being wrecked and that kind of thing. And in road, it's more of down to your skill level more than anything.
And when you factor in, that's exactly what I was going to say. When you factor in cautions, that's another random type of thing that can really mess up your placement. Sorry,
Yeah.
but exactly what I was going to say. I'm sure.
Sorry, bro.
Quite a few races came down to coin tosses. All right, should I take tires this caution or wait for the next caution? And that choice comes down to if there was a caution or not, so it ends up kind of being a coin flip.
Yeah, like David was mentioning there, like if you're running a top 5 speed, you're more than likely probably, if you have nothing goes wrong in a road race with no cautions and a pit stop, you're gonna finish the top 5 if that's the speed. There's just you can't make up somehow because of there's not even that much tire strategy on the road side. It would be more fuel strategy, and if you can save a little bit so you don't have to get fueled up as long, but even that it's nowadays is not as big of a gap as it used to be. So you got 9K because there's a lot more people, and I think the roadside has got way more people as well that just participate all the time. The European times it's just ridiculous how many splits there are.
Even in the multi-class, the IMSA is huge during, like at a Daytona week that's not coming up to the 24. There will be on a regular, just middle of the day, A open essentially which is what it is now. There will be 300, 400 registered. All right. Whereas a open oval is 1 or 2 splits, 60 people, maybe.
I remember when it used to be 10 people, and if you could get 10 people on an A open every night, consistently it was better. At least we have splits on the oval side. It's just the roadside is so much about being consistent and just having a pace, and that's it. There is no, I don't want to say there is no strategy to it, but like if you practice and you can stay on the track and do your thing, it's a no-brainer for going up an I rating. It's just the problem is you got to make it through turn one on the first lap, and you're pretty much good unless you get wrecked by, if you're in multi-class trying to get around slower cars or whatever, being the slower car. Sometimes it's more difficult. It's just more advantageous to be on the roadside to get a higher rating.
Now, it's not always about I rating. I mean, that's a good indicator, but it's not everything. Look at our guest tonight, Mr. Michael Conti. Arguably one of the greatest oval sim racers there is. His I rating, I looked, I think it was like 7,600. That's well below a lot of people in the Coke series who are in the 9 to 10,000 range. But guess what? He can hold his own out there.
Now, does he use his main? He may use his main account to race and everything, so he'll go up and down no matter what, right? Like, maybe he just uses it and races other races, and it could be a deterrent sometimes to get for it to go up and down because he's using it maybe more than the other guys in the Coke series too.
Also,
That's a
once
good
you've
point. I don't
established
think he
yourself,
has a Smurf.
yeah, once you've established yourself in the series, even if you're going back down to contender to work your way back up, the I rating doesn't matter anymore. But with these guys that are racing road to pro to get back in, they need as high of an I rating as they can to get the most points to make the contender series or to make even the round 2 of road to pro. All right, Mike,
Okay,
who is
I'll
the
take
GOAT?
this one. The GOAT. We just
I
talked
was
about
wrong
the
about
GOAT
who
and
the
ovals, but let's see who is the overall GOAT. DJ EJ again this time. And he says Alex Bergeron. He throws out some stats. These are so impressive. Okay. World Championship Series going from 2018 runner up, 2019 champion, 2020 champion, 2021 champion, 3 times in a row. And then 2022 and 2023 runner up, runner up.
So he's the best. So he's the greatest on dirt. That isn't the greatest of all time. That doesn't that doesn't really answer the question.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's the only person that actually holds a pro license in all 4 classes.
Yeah, I think
that's
that
what
was
the
his
video
biggest
goes on
thing.
to show.
Yeah.
What road oval does he run pro? I mean, not
So
what
he went on
what
to say,
asphalt oval does he run pro in?
He's I think he's competed in the Coke series before.
Yeah, he's been in Coke.
yep. He was the 2019 USAC runner up. And then late model, he got as high as third in the late model championships.
I'm biased because of on track experience, but I'd have to throw Christian Chandler into the hat.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not competing in all the championships, though, even though he's capable of it.
Well, that's because he's an
Yeah.
iRacing employee.
I'm just trying to figure out what we distinguish as the greatest of all time.
Right. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. I think in this video, DJ EJ is kind of like saying, as far as different skills, he's maxed out at the highest level for all the different variations of skills. I'd like to throw in there like Mitchell DeYoung, who was a Coke race driver. He was top tier in the Porsche series. He was top tier in the road dirt road rally stuff. Only thing I didn't see him in is oval dirt, but I mean, he was at the very tippy top of all 3 of those different disciplines.
Well, and then then you have those guys like, what is it, Maxine Beneke or whatever his name. Who has got the highest road. I mean, he's done a lot on the road side. Like, there's different ways to look at it. I think it's hard when you're on the sim. If you're using the sim as the thing, it's really hard to differentiate because each one of them has a discipline they're great at, and then the rest of them, and you guys are saying like he's got a pro license at all. I'm okay, and that's actually really impressive because it's really hard to get all four if you think about which ones
Yeah.
those disciplines are. Because the rally one is the interesting one because it's not even really there anymore.
Well, on Chandler's side, even though he doesn't compete in the Pro Series anymore because he's an employee, he still competes in the majors, and it pretty much wins almost everything he's in. And majors bounces between the different disciplines. They'll run an open wheel, then they'll run an open wheel oval, then they'll run a NASCAR race, then they'll run an old cars NASCAR race, and then they'll run a rally race and then a dirt race. They'll run every discipline, and he's usually contending for the championship pretty much every year. So, I mean, this is going to be just like all those shows where they argue over who's the greatest between the different basketball eras. It's going to be so opinion driven that we're just trying to back up our opinions at this point.
But even in real world racing comparisons, like some people say Tony Stewart's like really up there because he's won a championship in IRL, he's won NASCAR championships. Like heck, he just won a drag racing championships. He's run races in sprint cars. Even what's his name? Larson is he's a different type of driver. He runs a lot of different types of cars, but is Tony Stewart the best NASCAR driver? That might be a different story as opposed to overall. So I think it's just different ways of looking at it. Some people might take their ability to run different disciplines as more important than if they're just really, really good at one discipline. And I think that's kind of where this debate is coming from, but it's interesting to talk about, and and Bergeron is definitely putting up some big numbers.
Speaking of big numbers, Brian, why don't you tell us about the next one that backs up why he might be the GOAT?
Yeah, right. So we're going to hop on to the World of Outlaws Thrustmaster Series Sprint Cars week number 2, and guess who wins? Alex Bergeron. He's won the first 2 races of the season so far. This one was at Weed Sport. He started 4th in the heat race and wound up taking the win in his heat race to start on the outside pole, and took the lead from Tanner Pettit, who was the pole sitter. Really good race though. Pettit, Bergeron, and Tyler Schell, who was in the mix, who finished 3rd, were really dicing it up. Weed Sport is an interesting track. It's not real big, but it's wide, and you can race multiple grooves in there. Alex Bergeron was pretty much bottom fishing, taking the short way around the track almost the entire race, and Tanner Pettit was running a different line. He would come right up to the wall in the entrance of the turn, slide all the way to the outside wall, and try to get some drive off that way. So guys were running different lines and switching back and forth a good bit, but sure enough, Alex Bergeron takes the win on this one. And obviously with 2 wins for the season, he's in the points lead. Tanner Pettit is in the 2nd in points, and James Eden's in 3rd. Hayden Carwell, who had a tough luck in week 1. He had a terrible race. He qualified really far down and didn't even make the feature. So some tough luck for some of the other drivers, and Alex Bergeron has taken an early stranglehold of this championship.
Yeah, man, I didn't even make the feature. That's a huge hit. And then Evan Shea, got a 5th, and other notable James Eden's 10th.
Yeah, and another guy who is one of the better sprint car drivers and late model drivers, finished 2nd, was Logan Rumsey, who's a local driver around here in real world. He actually was in the race but didn't make the feature. He had shoulder surgery last week and was racing with one arm, and it just didn't translate for whatever reason. He couldn't pull it off. So tough luck for Logan to try to get back in this championship.
All right, we have one more semi-related. John, how about this guy? He thinks he might be the GOAT.
Yeah, we have a guy that made a little history here, a racer by the name of Glenn McGee, who he's the first sim racer to win both esports and real-life FIA-sanctioned world titles. He did the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World title. And so Yeah, this guy's made some history. He can do it. He can do it on the sim, and he can do it in a real car.
I forget exactly what he won in the sim, some kind of contest. Uh, road coursing, of course. I don't remember exactly what it was,
Yeah, I was thinking it was
but it's pretty cool.
FIA.
Well, we've been talking about it for years now that pretty much real life and sim racing are blended now. I wouldn't say merged, but blended. There's an overlap for sure.
Yeah, it's Glenn McGee is the name of this guy. Anyway, yeah, congrats to him.
So next up, let's jump from reality to a questionable reality, I guess. What do you think, Brian?
So, yeah, this is something that came out in Abu Dhabi, I guess, in preparation for the F1 race. But instead of AI driving, sim racers are going to be sim racer control the real cars, right? So, Abu Dhabi back two, they call them A2RL, autonomous racing leagues, which is 10 driverless cars are going to be racing these formula cars in wheel-to-wheel battle from next year. So it's going to be an all AI motorsports league, I guess, and the cars will have no drivers, and it's just going to be the AI racing against other AI. So it's almost like if you go to iRacing and run an AI and just don't have anybody, don't race with them, and just see what happens, I guess.
Here's the one positive I can see from this. Why are we slowing all the cars down, especially on the NASCAR side?
People.
Yeah, and jets are kind of the same way now. They can't turn any more G's than they already turn, or you kill the pilot. Right. So I'm curious to see what you could take in a stock car race where you could go to Daytona and have them have AI that could actually draft and in unrestricted cars. I would love to see that.
So does that mean you gotta stop cheering for somebody and you started cheering for a car? Like I don't know.
Or you're cheering for a team, I guess, right?
Well, there it goes for Jeff Gordon. And what is he talking about? He wanted the teams to be cheered for now instead of the individual drivers he was pushing for. I just think it's odd because you always hitch your wagon to a person your whole life, a driver, and then with a team as well. But I can't see. I guess it's no different than sim racing because it's all we're seeing is just the car go around, and there is a driver in it, but not really. I just can't see hitching myself to a car that has no legitimate driver, and what what is considered AI for doing this? Like, can it be manipulated and controlled to be I don't know, like have someone in charge of, or not in charge, but in someone could win because of software failure or something like that.
Well, most AI nowadays are trained in the same way that large language models are, where they just dump insane amount of data and let it learn itself through correlation, right? So that's how ChatGPT works.
So my take on this was dump the AI and have sim racers remote control these 10 cars from a cockpit. So you get Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton and some other all-stars from F1, because these races are going to be held pre-F1 on the F1 circuits. They're going to follow the F1 schedule and so forth. And so it could be a spectacle where you get the top 10 F1 drivers in cockpits. They're sim racing, but on their screen they can see like a camera out of the real car, and these were real cars on the real track. They're sitting in the pit lane in sim cockpits controlling these cars. Now, I think that would be something because the fans would like David said, tie into, hey, I'm a fan of Max. I'm going to watch Max win this thing.
That was Greg. But I wonder. I think that's actually technically harder because the lag time, even from even if you're using camera feeds, is going to be just enough that there's going to be a limit to how close they could cut the corners, uh, as far as reaction time goes. Whereas the AI is in the seat.
I don't know, with our new 5G technology at Verizon with network splitting, which they actually just tested at the F1 race at Vegas, where they would provide specific streamers. Like, for example, Lance Norris, he was doing a stream on his thing, and they gave him like a dedicated network splitting channel from Verizon over the 5G, so he wouldn't have any latency or delay. And so there's ways technically around that.
You can't speed up the speed of light. Even if you're sitting across a 2 mile
There'll be
track,
some delay, right?
you're not gonna. I mean, think about when you see even lightning a mile away. How much later the separation of the light and the sound. There's delay, and it's going to be just enough that you're not actually going to be. The car is not going to be where the driver sees the car being when he gets the video feed.
Let's just be honest, okay? This is a neat idea. I think it's interesting, but at no point am I ever going to go pay to watch 10 AI cars drive around a track. I mean, you read the article. That's one of the things it says in here. This is takes driverless competition to an ambitious new level. Even though spectators have so far failed to warm to the idea. Well, yeah. Again, the whole purpose with racing is, Ken Squire passed this past week, and for an oval guy, you listen to Ken Squire, and Dale Earnhardt, Cale Yarborough, all these guys were superheroes, and that's what you cling to. You cling to guys doing things that are incredible that none of us could do. Like I said, is it neat? Yeah, it's neat. I just don't see it ever going any further than that.
And it will definitely never replace driver racing.
Wait, I wonder if like you were saying earlier that you don't have the driver in there to get injured if something happens, but it seems to me like when there's a problem with the AI, it's usually like a catastrophic issue. It's not like I just barely missed a turn. It's just like, oh, I turned right instead of left. And then the accident at that speed becomes like projectile type of damage. Or
the starts of the races where they hot start in the pits and just run over each other at the very beginning. That I would pay to see that and just laugh at all the engineers at that point.
Right. Just a complete pile up in the first turn, and yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and go with iRacing for Dummies as the next topic, and appropriately, I have to pass this one to Greg.
I think Greg had to step away for just a minute, but Sim Racing Pal did a YouTube video. This guy does some short videos, but this is about 15 minutes long, and he just takes new users through the UI on iRacing and just explains all the different things that you can do. A real basic beginner video, but if you're just starting out in iRacing, it helps you understand how to navigate through some of the different menus and things to change settings.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first one to be made, but I can tell you, as being somebody who was gone from the service for 7 years, when I got back into it, I was watching ones like this because there was stuff that, one, I'd forgotten how to do, and then two, so much stuff had changed. So any videos like this, I think, are helpful.
Yeah, I mean, even if you know iRacing in and out, if you know somebody who's just getting started, you can say, "Hey, check this video out. It'll help you out with some of the introductory stuff," and it's a good way to get an introduction in iRacing. So it's still helpful no matter what your skill level is.
The lone racer out there, I mean, you can hover over the words and it'll give you a hint of what this means or what it does. But when you hear somebody else in a video say something about it, oh, I didn't realize, that's what that's for, or something like that. So yeah, knowledge is king.
All right, Justin, what has recently surfaced out in the Twitterverse or Xverse?
Yeah, Mike Diaz at Southern National has repaved the top line and added PJ1 down the middle for Thanksgiving late model stock classic. And Matt Weaver puts out an X for Thanksgiving late model stock classic this weekend in Southern National Park. Yeah, Mike Diaz has a repave of the top lane with PJ1 and resin down the middle. And then he quotes, restarts are going to be something. So I assume that top lane is going to be lit.
Ultra grip, right? So that'll be the preferred lane, but then you're doing the PJ1 in the middle and then nothing on the bottom. Now, I remember running this in iRacing, and the bottom is where you want to be. You can see in this picture there's 4 lanes. Justin, in iRacing, we're on that first lane down at the bottom. That's no man's land way up there where they paved. I mean, you would never go up there. So I'm a little confused about what's happening.
Was the top lane slick before all this?
It's just the long way around. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's Southern National. I mean, you can kind of, I don't want to say cut the corner, but I mean, you're hooking the bottom continually. You know, I don't know. I'm fine for paving. I'm not a big fan of the whole PJ1 stuff. You know, maybe on a late model standpoint, it's fine. You know, I think in the Cup Series and NASCAR at the higher classes, it's just been used to try to fix things that should have been fixed a different way.
And they also didn't work. They haven't put them in the right lane, or it just becomes the preferred lane, and they don't put it in the right amount to create 2 grooves.
Yeah, and you know, fix the car instead of trying to put a Band-Aid on it. But maybe it's time for a rescan.
Rescan, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And that's an old track. I mean, that track it's dated.
It's a lot of fun if you haven't run it. You know, you can really get hauling around there. I mean, you can do like 13-second laps and stuff like that.
Well, seeing that it's Black Friday, hopefully everyone has gone and taken advantage of the iRacing Black Friday sale. So it was a tweet from, or X post, whatever we call it now, from iRacing. Some more information about the November development, and you know, encouraging everybody to go ahead and take advantage of the Black Friday. So I went ahead and added another year to mine Wednesday.
And this tweet has some pretty neat pictures as well. Looks like a track slinger, right? And then a wire mesh photo, I think, of the Audi, because they're putting out a new Audi BMW, right? Or not Audi BMW, Audi GT3. I'm not sure what that next thing is, but it looks like the structure of a.
That's SRX.
Is that the SRX car? Okay. Mm-hmm. And what's really neat is that you see some planes that they have added, and that, I mean, 2-dimensional surfaces that are showing the symmetries of it. I guess maybe the axles.
So the deal goes through November 30th. So you have a few more days, guys. This will be the last time we mention it on the show. So get it renewed.
It's the best deal you'll get.
All right, Mike, we got a contest coming up.
Yeah, this is a re-mention of the Go Drive Smart iRacing contest that DJ Yej has put together. Casey Kerwin is one of the guest coaches or team leaders or whatever you call it in the contest. So he tweeted up a reminder. It's a chance to win a VIP trip to Daytona and over $3,500 in prizes. So get involved. The combined races are December 4th through December 6th.
This is our track. We should look into this.
So kind of update you guys. I've been doing this contest. I'm 127th. You got to stay in the top 200. And Yeah,
Cool.
I've taken about 4 or 5 sessions where I was staying at 90. People would keep bumping me down to about 110. I get another good lap in. I jump up to 80, get down about 120 again, pop it back up to about 90. Then I just can't beat my time now. And so I've been going down. So I started at like 96. I've been going down about 5 positions a day, but this is the first day it's held all day for 127th. So it's getting harder to beat it. Me and the leader are only 6/1000ths of a second away from each other.
Nice. And then after the time attack, then they do a draft if you're in the top 200, right? You have the team captains, and they will draft the top 200 into their teams.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get some insurance. I was going to tell you guys earlier, but I didn't want to get cocky and ruin it. So, but yeah, so hopefully I stay solid up there. So,
All right, yeah, cool. Good luck. I hope you make it.
thank you.
Sounds like you're going to stick it. If you're in the top 100 out of the 200, it looks like it might stick.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, right now it's just getting frustrating because I'm working on 10,000ths of a second, and like any little movement can bust your lap. And I'm tired of restarting my damn car.
Now, can you take advantage of active reset to make the process quicker somehow?
Well, I thought about that, making a practice session, but I didn't know if it'd be worth it because I didn't know if I could make the track 1-for-1 compared to his session. So I didn't want to spend all that time hot lapping, then running his and be off by a little bit.
Yeah, wrong weather or something.
But you got to map the thing and you got to trust the car. I mean, it's actually kind of fun.
I think that's what it says. Charlotte in the old Silverado.
Yeah. It's. I was gonna say. I thought of the first time I drove it. I thought of David because every time he tweaks a set, it feels like his set going around the corner.
All right, we got one event left in the year, it looks like, the 2023 Winter Derby. It's an open setup. It's 300 lap race held at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. There's going to be, I think, the 3 standard start times. Actually, these look a little different. We got 2 GMT on Wednesday. This is almost more like NIS times. 1900 on Thursday, 2 GMT on Friday, and 15 GMT on Sunday.
Yeah, we've already missed these first 2. The third one is tonight and just 2 hours from now. Yeah.
Yeah, I ran the one on Wednesday. It didn't end well, so I'm going to run again tonight.
Yikes. Okay, well, good luck for tonight. Anyone else on the team running? I think Donnie was running.
Yeah, he said he was going to, so I had a good run going, but we'll talk about that when we get to results.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. And check out our iRacersLounge.com for the script. We're in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. And many thanks to Mike Conti and his new performance team. Man, we're so excited to be involved with them and looking forward to talking about them each and every week. Lastly, don't forget your merch. At least 2 guys are wearing merch here. David's got his shirt. John's got his shirt. I got a hat. That's 3 of us. So, hey, you listeners out there, get your merch at iRacersLounge.shop.
All right, let's kick off some hardware talk. We've got a P1X Pro review, and it's been done by, I guess, Sim Racing Setups. And I see 2 videos here, Mike. So is that 2 different reviews?
Yeah, you know how these hardware manufacturers do. They send out free hardware to the YouTubers, and we get all the videos in the same week. So
Yeah,
Sim Racing Setup is one of them, and Dave Cam is the other.
Yeah, I actually watched all of these 2 videos. The reviews from both of these guys are big thumbs up. I mean, they said the quality of this thing is great. Little to no flex at all. Not hard to put together. I think Dave Cam said it took him about 4 hours to put his together, and the guy at the Sim Racing Setup said about 6. But these guys had glowing reviews of this. I guess it's a little bit of a redesign or some changes to the previous version that they made on this one.
Yeah, Dave Cam did a good job of kind of detailing what those changes are. The P1X is what the rig I have. I think, David, you have it. And it's put together with these 90-degree corner brackets. On every corner, you get these tiny little corner brackets. Well, there's not a single corner bracket on this new Pro rig. They have different kind of connectors on the corners. They got a rounded, pre-drilled kind of holder, I guess you'd say. Things, yeah. It's just a different design, the way that these are hooked, where the female part of the bolt is put right into the aluminum, and so everything is put together directly, and there's not these little corner brackets, and that's really the key difference. And the other one is the angle of the uprights. All uprights are angled a little bit, and so keep that in mind too. But SimLab is known for their quality. The P1X has been probably the sim racing gold standard for rigs for many years now. According to Dave, and I'll have to agree with him without having my hands on it, this is the new standard, guys.
These things, it looks really sharp, and SimLab, they've got their Black Friday deal going on. I think you can pick this thing up for, it's normally about $850, but you can get it for $760 right now. And, that's not a bad price for what you get here.
It's not, and their reputation is flawless, as far as the P1X. But yeah, I don't know about the seat. I think I like everything but their blue seat. Now I like the look of it, but as Dave Cam mentioned, it's a little small, and he was like 5'10", 195 or something, and he said it's a little tight. So if you're a bigger guy than that, you might need a bigger seat.
I don't think you can get the seat over here anyway. When I ordered from them, I had to get my seat separately because shipping a seat overseas is big money. Where compared to shipping the aluminum profile disassembled. So you definitely don't have to get the seat. So get you anything from a local seat place, as meaning this continent.
NRG, get you an NRG seat. There's no question.
Yeah, that's what I got when I bought mine. And the thing I like about that is then you have option to buy sizes. You can actually get a size that fits you better than one of these.
I've always been super happy with my Sparco as well because it simply fits for racing. I don't have any pressure points. No part of my body becomes numb or overpressured, even through hours of sitting in it.
See, that's the one thing I did cheap on my rig was my seat. I just got the stock track racer seat, and that's the only thing that flexes, and it drives me nuts. I bet you I go in a centimeter or a centimeter and a half probably. So, I mean, I just want a little bit more stiffer.
That's would suggest, like I said, if you're looking dollar wise, NRG is not bad. I mean, I've got an NRG, and no flex, no movement, nothing.
That, and I think someone in our group was getting a track racer set, but the one thing I don't like either is the seat rails. They're very cheap, and I get flex out of them too. And I wish I'm trying to find a place that has like industrial, thick, heavy duty seat rails just to mount it.
Well,
Yeah, the NRG has the seat rails too.
yeah, that's what I got for mine. I may end up going back and just solid mounting my seat at some point. I've got it on, on the roller caster or whatever, just to make it easier to get in and out. But I think I may end up going back and just fixing mine.
I bought a set for mine and they didn't fit because the whole mounting holes on my seat are different than standard, and so it was not arranged in the right order. Like they wouldn't fit on, so I had to send them back. But yeah, any of those options are good. And back on the P1X, I can't speak to all the aluminum quality of every rig, but in a lot of cases, when you try to go for the discount option, where they're going to save the money, is they're going with a lighter duty aluminum. Just simply, and there's simply just not as much metal. There's not as much strength. And I can't name a specific one and call one out. I just know that that's where you can see the difference is the quality and sturdy, and what's the word I'm looking for? Sturdiness of the aluminum.
One more call out in differences that Dave Cam mentioned was the larger profile on this new Pro rig that has kind of the flat surface. They basically took out the two inner channels, and that's open. It's open air. And he said that made the whole rig a lot lighter as far as the weight. And it's a cable management dream because you can run your cables through the middle of that big extrusion and hide all your stuff. So the other thing that the other video sim racing setup mentioned that is the only drawback I've ever heard on this is the uprights that are angled kind of got in the way of where he wanted to put his single monitor. He runs a single monitor, and they were kind of in his way. And so he had to like put the monitor in not quite the spot he wanted to. Like he butted it right up against the top of those uprights. And so the angle upright has always had that problem with the next level racing, and now this one as well.
Now, I don't know if this is me being picky. I would have never noticed this being a first-time buyer, but I'm not a fan of the angles. I think that would be hard if I ever wanted to add an 80/20 excursion to it to customize it to my features, my likes, or whatever. I think it would be really, really hard to mount where if it's at a 90, it's just simple and it's easy, just one straight cut.
Yeah, and I have already added basically an extra shelf that goes behind my base since I don't run monitors. My monitors sit over my computer desk, and what sits there now is my amplifier for my butt kicker and my two flight sim sticks sit up there when I'm not using them as well. And it, so I don't think I'd have been able to put that on there with the slanted setup either, or it would have been a lot more complicated to line it all up.
He also covered, should you upgrade if you have a P1X? And the short answer is no. I mean, they're both equal as far as what you're going to get when you're driving. But if you're new and you're buying a rig and you want to buy your forever rig, yeah, it's a buy, and you would buy the Pro for sure, as that's what Dave said. So it's going to be his daily driver. He's retiring the P1X, and he's going to be riding on the Pro now. So if I was buying today, I'd probably pick this one.
But you know what will not be your forever rig is the next one. Because if you take a look at it, you might outgrow it. Isn't that right, Brad? Yeah, so Conspit unveils their GTB sim rig, which is designed for young racers. We talked about Conspit a little bit over the last, I guess, month or so. So, yeah, pretty neat. Compact, small. I don't know how long someone would stay in it. It looks like there's a little bit of adjustability built into it. But interesting. I couldn't find anything price-wise. Was anybody able to figure that out?
I
No, I
didn't.
couldn't find it.
Yeah, and their website is not very user friendly. I was trying to navigate through it just to get some prices, and I couldn't even do it.
Yeah, I couldn't find prices or couldn't find specs on, how big of a kid can fit into this thing. At what point would you outgrow it and have to go to a bigger one?
And I started thinking. I mean, I'm thinking I've got a track racer TR160 downstairs. And if I wanted to, I could. It's got enough flexibility. I could make it smaller for a smaller person to be in there. I mean, I don't know. Again, depends on what the cost of that thing is, but yeah.
I've seen several times. I've seen Bobby post small designs that he's made for his son of smaller 80/20 rigs.
Yeah, this is more of a kind of a thin sheet metal look, not really a 80/20. And the kid in the pictures looks like he may be 6 or 7 years old. It's him anyway.
Yeah, but the more and more legitimized iRacing is becoming as a training tool and a way to make your way into real world racing. If you have aspirations for your son or daughter, and and they want to get into real world racing, this is a good way to learn some racecraft and just the basic skills of racing before you would move on. So, yeah, if it's, I can see somebody who's really interested in getting their child into racing to get something like this to get them really started and serious about racing in general.
It's still cheaper even than running a cart.
It is.
I think it was our teammate Chris Waldron posted a picture of his young son in some kind of little driving mechanism, and he said he would be interested in getting his son something like this.
Well, something that's right. Go ahead.
We were talking a little while ago with the P1X about the slider seats, and that's what I use to slide my seat up for my kid to drive. But it's still not comfortable. His steering wheel's over his head. It's still not really the best way to drive when you're a child.
All right, now I'll make my smooth transition. Everybody ready? Here we go. By the way, we don't have a live producer in case you guys haven't figured it out. So we just kind of guess when we're ready to move on to the topics. Because why? Because it's a casual setting. So don't expect that to change. Something, though, that is cheaper, way cheaper, and I'm looking at this right now and experiencing reverse sticker shock. Fanatec's Black Friday sale. And this is just more evidence of what probably a combination of their customer service reputation and the fact that there's just so much more competition out there now that they probably just can't mark stuff up the way they used to.
Well, I think they're trying to clear out these DD1s and DD2s because they're kind of no longer valid with some of the new products they've dumped.
That's kind of what it sounds like to me with their new wheelbases that just came out that are a lot less money for the brand new products and stuff. I think you're right. I think they're trying to clean these guys out.
So the DD2 is listed at 800 euros and normally 1,500. Sold out though. I don't know if it's a good idea to buy into the podium series, but Carl Gosling did a video here that said, you know what, it might be worth it because of the price. I mean, if you're trying to get in at a certain amount of money, it might be worth it to get an older wheel like this, at that price. It certainly isn't worth it at the $1,500 price, but you got to really think twice when you see that number.
I think you hit it on the nail when you said not at the $1,500 price. Yeah, for this deal, I would say I would say if that's what you want to spend, if that's your budget, you could go for it. But at this point, I'm on Fanatec, and I'll be on it until I can't run it anymore. But I, they don't sponsor me, so I can't recommend them anymore.
Well, what other wheelbase is going to give the 25 Newton meters, for $800? I don't think there's one out there. So it's a heck of a deal.
And they do have a good ecosystem of a lot of rims as well. There's a lot of choices out there rim wise.
We did have a second video here that covered the same topic. It was from Paul is Gaming, and he was a good video.
All right. Well, let's step on the pedals, or actually the DC3 RS pedals. We have a review from Race Beyond Matter. So, John, did you give this one a look?
Yeah, I did. I watched this DC Sim Racing. They've got the DC3 RS load cell pedals. That was on Race Beyond Matter. This is a company in Spain that's put this product out, and the bad news is you can't get these in the U.S. right now. So a little bit out of the reach of the U.S. Listeners, but this guy did a real in-depth review, and these are some highly adjustable pedals, easy to adjust, great software. He said for the price, these are really good to get. So if you're looking for pedals and you can figure out a way to get them out of Spain, this video is worth looking at.
Yeah, typical load cell pedal. Looks pretty cool though. They nice look to them.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything groundbreaking. I mean, if you've seen these, they're very similar to the Husenfelds, Sim Jacks, and the rest of them. So, I mean, it really reminded me of the Husenfelds. I've got the Sprints, and I mean, the software looks very much the same. A little more adjustability, but the same elastomer. Again, almost looks exactly the same to what most is already out there.
I agree with that. I got the Ultimates, and that's the first thing I noticed was the brake pedal. The elastomers are about 1 for 1.
But a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that he was impressed by was, what you're going to get for the price. Probably worth a look. But I don't, nothing groundbreaking here. Just good load cell for the price.
Thought it's interesting that the accelerator pedal has 2 separate sets of springs on it. Kind of, is that how the Huskenfelds are as well?
Does it also have a hydraulic dampener, or just springs?
Mine's just got elastomers and yeah, that's it. Then yeah, that's it.
The Sprints is spring, I believe. I'd have to look at it. I think it's a spring. Yeah, I don't think there's a dampener on it.
Well, we got another rig review. Take this one, Brian.
Yeah, this is one from All-in-One Gaming. They have 2 new cockpits that they're showing. One is called the Phantom, and one is called the Pro. They're 80/20. I'm looking at them now. So the Pro Series looks fairly standard 80/20 system. They do have some interesting corner brackets, and you got the wheelbase mounts in the center, just like pretty much you see in a lot of them. Some interesting colors. So it's a Series 45 commercial grade aluminum profile, so it's fairly strong. And the Phantom Series.
Pinpoint...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to pinpoint the difference between the Pro and the Phantom. I mean, the Pro is around 1,200, and the Phantom's a bit cheaper.
Yeah, it's weird because the Phantom looks like it's built stronger. Because it's got a 4 wide base and a 3 wide on the uprates, so it looks bigger. But maybe maybe the quality and the strength of the aluminum might be a little less.
And the
It's
quarter brackets are a little different.
Yeah, it's industrial 15th series aluminum profile. So I think it's a little not quite as strong as the other one.
I think these guys are US based, and so I just, we've talked about them a long time ago, and we sometimes get hung up on the big sim rig companies like SimLab and Advanced Sim Racing and Track Racer, but we forget about this one, All-in-One Gaming. They have some really quality stuff.
Yeah, they have an interesting pedal mounting system with it's kind of like a half circle bracket with holes all around the circle, so you can tilt it up and just mount it exactly where you want it. So I think that's kind of a neat twist on those.
It is, yeah. So they got some unique stuff. I like it. It's nice to have options.
I'll take
Expensive.
that.
All right, I'll take the next one. These are also from Huskinville. They're the MagShift, and they have unveiled the next generation OG magnetic sequential shifters with MagShift. I'm going to go ahead and read their X out real quick. They're proud to present the next generation of sequential shifter. It's the MagShift. It's a sequential shifter with the patented magnetic shift system. You'll feel the gears click in place like the real cars. MagShift is the most versatile sequential shifter available. I love the look, and it also has 3 buttons on it. I assume those can be configurable to basically be extra buttons that you could use button box wise. And it also says configurizable up to 10 different outputs or customizable outputs. That I really don't know what that means, but I would love to find out.
Well, I think with the buttons was the software allows you could make settings pretty quick while you're in game, as far as the software setting.
I really like the look of this. I try to get my rig as NASCAR feel as possible, and I think this actually looks like the gear shifters. Kind of resembles them in a way as the real Cup cars.
No, it does look good, and it's going to be well made, and they'll stand behind it forever.
Justin, I mean, buyer's remorse. I mean, didn't you buy a Huskinveld shifter already?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm just curious I don't think it ever told you the price, but I'm curious because, I mean, mine's functionable. It works. It's good quality. It's going to last forever. It looks simple. And it was $200. So I'm just curious to see what this will be.
Yeah, maybe you do an upgrade, sell yours and get this one. It might be a nice step up.
Well, my future plan is kind of backstory. My wife's from Brazil. I plan on retiring in Brazil. So every upgrade I do here, I'm going to bring over to Brazil and make a rig over there. Have 2 so I don't miss out. Don't miss an NIS race.
Nice.
So it looks like on the website it's showing 371 euros. So not sure what the conversion rate is at this point, but I thought it's fairly close to 1-to-1 for US dollar.
And the video indicates the way the magnets work. It feels like you're shifting a car. You get the click and the feel of it. So that's important, I think. And yeah, a very trusted brand too.
Yeah, that I looked it up. It's 407 US dollars.
I probably would have bought it.
All right. Something else I might buy is the Sabrent 16-port hub mount from Sim Sport Gadget. he makes a mounting hub for this 16-port USB hub to attach to your 8020 rig. So he doesn't make the USB hub, but he makes the mounting bracket for it. So you put it like probably right behind your center monitor. That way you can plug all your accessories and different things into one strip and just have one USB go off to the computer. I mean, talk about cleaning up your cable mess. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I looked at the video for this. It's actually really cool. The stapler normally comes with a back-mounted bracket that you would screw into a wall or your desk or something, and this clips in, which really wouldn't work well with the 8020. So this is a really good, interesting way of mounting it to your rig to keep it all close by. So 16 USB ports is pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's already done a 10 USB port version, and now they have the 16 port version, so you can do either one. Now, a lot of these new wheelbases, they have USB ports on the back of them now for kind of the same thing. Like when you get the Invicta from Asetek, I think it has 4 or 5 ports on the back.
You run out of ports really quick, especially if you're running two button boxes and a wheel, a VR, a separate shifter, a separate type of pedal that has 3 outputs. Add a couple of flight sim sticks as well, and you're out of. I have to run a hub, or I wouldn't have everything in there.
Keyboard and a mouse. A butt kicker. And
I actually have 2 mouses and 2 keyboards because I've got mine for the rig and for the desktop side.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about in final thoughts, but I've been kind of redoing my wiring and everything, and I think I have like about 10 USBs, and that's using Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, so it's up there.
I haven't thought about that. Can you connect the Bluetooth keyboards now that come with usually their own little receiver? Can you directly connect those if your motherboard has Bluetooth?
Yes. My Logitech is.
So you can just save that USB slot then and not use the dongle.
Yeah, you don't have to use the dongle. Yeah, it just picks it right up from the motherboard as long as it's Bluetooth motherboard, I guess.
Wow. Well, I just freed up 2 slots. We've been talking Track Racer a little bit, and we've got another Track Racer review, it looks like. John, let's see how that mic's working now. Nope. Now, I shouldn't have even said anything because now we can't hear him at all.
So I'll take it. So I watched the video for Dan Suzuki. I think he's been using this for about 2 years. So it was a good review. I agree with a lot of the stuff he said. I love it. Mine, I have the exact same one, but he's right. When you open up the box, you got metal filings everywhere. Played heck trying to get those out of the carpet. But I mean, all in all, you know what you're paying. You know what you're getting when you buy this. It's a sturdy piece. So, but it gives me confidence knowing that I've sunk some money in there, and after 2 years, guy hadn't had any issues.
Yeah, and he mounts all kinds of extra stuff on his that is related to his videos and streaming and cameras and lighting and microphones and different things that we normally don't have. And he just described how the 8020 aluminum extrusion offers limitless possibilities to modify. And so Track Racer is no different, of course. Yeah, the metal shavings thing. He basically said, Track Racer should clean this metal before they package it, just like SimLabs does. Like if you get a SimLab Pro, I guarantee you're not getting metal shavings when you unwrap the package.
The big problem. Sorry. Brian, the big problem I had was hardware. And everybody across the board, I was going, looking up on Reddit and all that. Everybody had problem with hardware, either missing or too much of one thing. I had to go to Fastenal to finish my build to get the right countersunk Allens. That was a big problem I had.
Yeah, and I've read that too. I didn't have any issues at all. I actually had a couple questions and reached out to them, and within a day, gotten a response. So, like I said, I maybe I got lucky. I know there's been some horror stories. I think it's probably more. I think the European side is probably a little worse than the U.S. side, maybe. But the other thing with the shavings was, I don't know if SimLabs does any different, but they were dirty. I mean, just like an oil kind of film on them, on all the pieces. So I know they had to do that in order to keep it from rusting and stuff. But in hindsight, I wish I'd have just taken it all out in the garage, cleaned it, wiped it down, and then brought it all in.
And that's what he recommended. If you buy this rig, clean it outside and then carry it in your house.
All right, Mike, you're the SimuCube guy, so we've got a new D-shaped racing wheel.
Yeah, SimuCube is teasing their new D-shaped racing wheel called the Valo GT23 coming to their ecosystem. It's got shifter paddles. It's got button box, LEDs for the RPM. Kind of plain Jane to me. Kind of looks like a Sparco wheel knockoff kind of thing. But would I buy it? I don't know if I would. I mean, that first wheel that they put out was so tempting, but I don't know. This one's just not speaking to me.
It does have the dual clutches. I could see myself almost using this as an oval rim-ish, because I'd never really turn past 9 o'clock anyway. Right? So I don't know. I like the additional features on it. Particularly, it does have the dual clutch.
So 12.6 inches is the wheel size. That's just, yeah, that's pretty normal for a sim wheel. But like I said, I'm running a 15-inch, so a little bit bigger.
Moving on down, Brian, we have Fanatec and Sparco featured by Will Ford.
Yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere. I don't remember seeing this, but Fanatec has just released a partnership with Sparco, and they are releasing a couple new wheel hubs for it. I think there's 4, I believe, and they have the this Alcantara type of grips. They have a D-shaped wheel. They have a butterfly type, an oval. So a few different types to pick from. And I think they work with that new center hub, the button box hub that Fanatec offers as well. So yeah, pretty cool that they've Fanatec is partnering with Sparco, the big name. Fanatec probably has a lot of resources in the sim industry, and that's a decent partnership for them to make. The wheels look pretty nice.
I was thinking this is monkey see, monkey do. Didn't Acetec just do this where they offered a bunch of wheel rims that interchange with their button boxes and whatnot? And now Fanatec's doing the same thing. Will Ford points out not every button box fits on every rim. You have to really kind of pick and choose which ones. Sometimes he lays the rim onto the button box and it actually covers up some of the buttons. So they're not all interchangeable with this Fanatec stuff. So that's the big gotcha. The other thing is these are kind of replicas. These are not true Sparco wheels like you would buy from Sparco. They're made to imitate the real wheel. And part of the reason is they're about $150 cheaper than buying a proper Sparco. And so you're going to get some affordability by buying these replicas through Fanatec. But I think, is this a new trend? I guess we should talk about with you buy a button box, you buy a few rims to go with it. I mean, we had Ace come out with the concept, and now Fanatec's doing the same thing.
I like the approach that Ace Tech took with it. I think from ease of swapping, I think it's probably where I think they're going to win.
Absolutely. I think it was just 3 screws, 60 seconds or something. Yeah, with this Fanatec stuff, there's no easy swap at all. You're taking out multiple screws, etc. So I wouldn't think you would. I don't think the Fanatec, the way they have them set up, is conductive to swap at all. I mean, you probably buy a rim and a button box and stick with it. All right, and then there's another wheel announced, very similar, but this time Cube Controls. They unveil their new GT Pro V2 suede and perforated GT steering wheels. And this is a D-shaped oval kind of wheel with a button box with paddles, very much like what we've just been talking about, but this time Cube Controls, one of my favorites from Italy. Pricing €898 for the suede, the perforated €885. This is the V2 version. They've had a V1 out, but this is the V2. I don't know the differences. You can order with 2 or 4 paddles too.
Tons and tons of options from all different manufacturers. So to say you can't find something that you like, you just haven't looked hard enough.
I think the beauty of the Cube Control is that, again, the magnetic connector for the cable, for your coil cable, that is the key differentiator between them and all other manufacturers. You buy a Gomez wheel or all these other ones, you're screwing on a connector on the permanently screwing on a connector for the cable. And I just like the magnetic thing where it just rips off and snaps right on. It's just quick and easy.
Well, I mean, I've got Sim Magic. The one thing I like about that is it's wireless. So no cables at all.
Yeah, and Ace wheels are wireless as well with their neat QR system. So, yeah, I mean, that's even better. Right, let's jump to results. We didn't have the Winter NIS, I mean, excuse me, the Winter League because of Thanksgiving this week. So I guess we'll just open it up to everybody. What'd you guys run?
Yeah, I've been running the winter series. I didn't really put each race down because I really don't have much. I haven't had really amazing finishes from 15th to 5th, but I've been running in a higher split, top split. And I was surprised. I wrote it down. I was surprised I was going through the points because Mike, your battle with Tom kind of got me fired up, started teaching me about how the points worked. I never really cared about them. I'm starting to understand them. And I checked, and I'm actually leading Division 2 in points for fixed, and I'm 4th in the open now. And like, it was a total surprise to me, and I think it's because I've been running the higher splits, and it's been helping me, I think.
No, that's good. That's good. I ran the Winter Derby Wednesday night. Started eighth and was running eighth. We were about 50 laps in, just starting to catch lap traffic. And, I'm passing a lap car low, and sixth place car turns a lapper in front of him. Lap car comes down, hits the inside wall, comes back out. I'm already low because I'm in the middle of making a pass. I just can't avoid. So, just very frustrated. I just seem to get caught up in so much stuff that's not of my making. I don't know if I just need to kind of reset. I don't know if I'm running too hard, just trying too hard, or what. Just super, super frustrating.
My rig is in boxes, and I'll be building it at this time next week because I'll be moving a week from today. All right, let's jump to final thoughts. David Hall.
Brad, I get exactly what you mean with being frustrated with just all the bad luck. I had the worst NIS season in just year I could have had, and pretty much have been on a self. I've just taken a break from iRacing, other than running the Winter League. And I'm excited about the Craig setup shop, not Craig setup shop, Mike Connie setup that the guys are going to be trying out the deal with. I hope I can get involved with that. But I've dropped an iRating enough that I'm going to be Division 2. And I'm just going to sit there till NIS starts. So I am going to get back next week and start running some IMSA races to get ready for Daytona. I felt like I just needed to take the break and just allow myself to start missing it a little bit. And so that's where I am. I went ahead and renewed today. The subscription had actually expired this week, and I went ahead and used the Black Friday sale and renewed today. So y'all got me for at least a year.
All right. Brian McCubbin, final thoughts?
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit about it earlier. So I've taken this off season and time that I need to do my next computer build to just completely dismantle my rig, pretty much. All the wiring, pull all the wiring, and just wanted to reroute everything, make some additions to make things work a little easier and get the cable management even better. So it's all in the process of just regrouping and rebuilding and getting ready for the next year. So the long process, taking my time and trying to get everything just right. I know there's not a big rush based on, I have some time before I'll be ready to get back in. But yeah, so that was it. And I did some shopping today for Black Friday to try to get some deals on some computer stuff, and started purchasing some stuff for my new build. So I'll keep you posted on how that goes.
Ooh, exciting. All right, Brad Wren, final thoughts. You got some Black Friday stuff too, huh?
Yeah, picked up a set of gloves, and then rolled into the RFK store and grabbed some stuff from Brad Classic because it was just too stupid cheap. But gonna run the Winter Derby tonight, and then I'll be out of pocket for a week. So travel, going to Hawaii next week. Gonna miss the winter race, unfortunately. But look forward to getting back and getting back on the track with you guys.
All right, very good. Justin Pearson, final thoughts.
Not too much. I'm wondering about this Drive Smart to Daytona. See if I got a good enough lap time. Maybe you'll be seeing the iRacer Lounge paint scheme on those races. So yeah, I hope that goes well. And I love that. I'm starting to love these 87 cars. I think it's teaching me how to. I think my problem was I drove too soft in the beginning. I had too much car at the end. I didn't use them all up. And these 87s, you got to really beat on them to be fast. So hopefully I can keep up P1 on that, fix that.
All right, very good. John Curley, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's just get out there and race. This is a bad week. Lost a lot of buy rating. Hopefully, I can get it back.
All right. And then Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
Just looking forward to racing the Winter Series next week, or Winter League. I think we're at Dover. That'll be fun in the fixed setup. I think Mike, if once you come back, the first week that you'll be back, I think is a road course for it.
Ouch.
You love those. Anyways, yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I'm just actually renewing my membership right now with the Black Friday deal. So anybody that hasn't done it, you better do it soon.
All right. My final thoughts. This is the longest period of time I've gone without racing on iRacing since I've started, I think. But I'm going to have the equipment down for approximately a month before I get everything set up again. But looking forward to it. Like David said, sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think that's definitely happened with me. I'm sitting around at night, kind of twiddling my thumbs, wondering what I should be doing. I should be racing. That's what I should be doing. But we'll get back to it soon. Uh, Again, thanks to Mike Conti. What a professional. What a stalwart in the sim community. Very proud to be associated with him and his outstanding team of Brandon Hastings and Nick Ottinger and Matt Busa. I mean, these guys are at the top of the game, and we're real happy to be associated with them and talk about their product and what they're offering to the Oval Sim community. If you guys want to do the Road to Pro, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Just sign up. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later.